Hi, welcome to the Online Jewelry Academy. I'm Professor John Ahr and I'm your instructor. In this video, I'm going to answer a question from one of our viewers. She wrote in and asked, how do I cut perfect washers? Now, if you have never worked with washers before or never made them, there's a problem that happens all the time, and that is you're going to use your disc cutter to make them, but most people eyeball the center hole, and as a result what happens is that when they cut that center hole out, they've got it off center. People think they can eyeball this, but more often than not they get it wrong. Now, washer jewelry is fantastic. It's really simple to make, and it's something that anybody with any skill level can do. If you look right here, I've got a pair of washer earrings that I made in a previous video. Now, these were made from commercially available copper washers. The great thing about those is they're always consistent and they're ready to go. All I had to do was anneal them and then I could start creating. Now, these washers display a variety of textures and they've been drilled, and we do have videos on how to texture metal and how to drill it as well. Okay, so let's show you the tools that you're going to need. First, you're going to need to use a disc cutter. Now, in a previous video, I've demonstrated how to use the disc cutter, and it was a different shape and size, but this one's a more contemporary one, and I think you'll like it too. So let's remove it from its storage case, and you can see I placed on the bench a roll of painter's tape or masking tape, whatever you have on hand. If you place your tool on top of the tape roll, what happens is you've given yourself sort of an area in which your cutter can safely come in contact with the table without chipping an edge and dulling your cutter. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to decide what sizes I'm going to cut. In this case, I think I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch hole and a 7/8 inch outer diameter of my washer. Now, the first thing I need to do before I start working is put on my eye protection. Can never be too careful. Next thing, what I want to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie pen and I'm just going to put a dot in the middle of my metal that I'm going to be working with, and then that way I can eyeball through the hole of the cutter to see exactly whether or not I'm more or less in the center of the piece of metal. Once I have the metal positioned where I think it's centered within the cutter, I can then tighten the cutter down. Now what I need to do is take the appropriate size cutting tool with the cutting edge down and place it into that 1/2 inch hole. Then what I'll do is just pick up my hammer and give it a few raps to cut through the metal. Now, if your cutting tool gets stuck in your disc cutter like this, there's a really simple solution to getting it out. Take a small wooden dowel and then just place it in the center of the cutter and just keep hitting. There, it went all the way through. So now what I can do is I can loosen the cutter, pull out the metal, and you can see that I've got a perfect hole cut through the piece of metal. And here's my cutting tool, and here's the piece of metal that I cut out from the center. Okay, so now remember what I wanted to make is a 7/8 inch outer diameter. So here's my 7/8 inch hole. So I'll position it in the right place. Then what I want to do is I'm going to just position all of my tools so I'm ready to go. The first thing that you need to do is, while the tool is open, slide it into the disc cutter so that the hole is visible through the 7/8 inch hole of the disc cutter. But how do I position it so that it's correct, so that I'll have exactly the same amount of metal around the hole? Well, I'm going to use one of these tools. This is a disc cutter centering die. Now, these are readily available, and I've actually provided links for you to purchase tools similar to the ones that I'm using in the videos. You'll find the links at the top of the description to each of our Online Jewelry Academy videos. So I'll take the one that fits this hole, and with the metal still loose in that hole, I just am going to drop the point into the hole, and I want to feel as I wiggle around and maybe turn this piece of metal until I feel the centering die go to its deepest depth possible. Once I've done that, I can then lock the tool down. Okay, so once the tool is secured, I can take the die out. I'm not going to strike it or do anything else with it. And then I can take the cutting tool, put it into the disc cutter, and cut out my washer. Okay, so big reveal. We've done a 7/8 inch hole from the piece of copper. Here's my cutting tool. And if I reach in here, here's my washer with a hole that's perfectly centered in the outer diameter that I wanted. It's that easy. Now I've got some other tips for you guys. If you're going to be making something similar to this pair of earrings over here that display different textures on each washer, if you want to save yourself from having to do some extra work, what you could do is pre-texture your metal. By doing this, what you'll be able to do is perform the same process that I just demonstrated, and you'll end up with washers that display the texture that you want, but they'll have clean, crisp edges. Then all you need to do, in this case, is just drill your holes, connect with a few jump rings, and you've got your earrings. I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to like it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for watching.